and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. All righty. I'm gonna call the roll since Miss Martin isn't here. We're gonna go to line. Ms. McBroom.
Present.
Mr. Resnick. Present. Mr. Manico.
Here.
Ms. Cote.
Present.
Dr. Ivory. And Chairman Hedis will be walking through those doors momentarily. We have quorum and I'm here too. Just for fun. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda? So to move.
Supported, Mr. Chairman, Royce Manico.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda. We have some minutes today for your consideration. We will go with 6A first, minutes for September the 26th, 2024.
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
And supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We're going to 6B nominating committee meeting minutes for September the 26th, 2024.
Motion to support.
Been moved. Support. Been supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now on to 6C, board meeting minutes for September the 26th, 2024. Actually, yes, sorry. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to support.
Been made and supported. Any discussion?
Second.
Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And in impeccable timing, Chairman Hedis is here for item 7, election of officers.
At that and our computer in my cloud. And we have a hard time to get back to our calendar. I know I have a meeting, but I'm going across the street. There's definitely problems. So I'm sorry. That's how much we depend on technology.
Item 7, election of officers for the Smart Board of Directors. In accordance with Smart Board bylaws, Article 3, Section 2 and 3, the officers of the board chairperson and vice chairperson are to be elected at its October meeting. At its September 26, 2024 special board meeting, in accordance with the board bylaws, the chairperson of the Smart Board of Directors, with the concurrence of the full board, appointed Mr. Britt Razigan as chairperson, Ms. Sheila Cote, and Dr. Curtis Ivory to its nominating subcommittee. The committee was charged with selecting nominees for officers of the 2024-2025 board. A quorum of the committee and the consideration of the matter prior to the board September regular meeting, At its September 2024 regular meeting, the Board of Directors accepted the committee's nomination of Macomb County Board member, Mr. John Paul Rare, as chairperson of SMART's board, and Mr. Britt Razigan as vice chairperson of the SMART Board of Directors for a term of 1 year. Are there any nominations for the floor for the position of chair and vice chair for the SMART Board?
Any other nomination?
Hearing none.
We have to say it 3 times.
Oh.
Any other nomination? No.
Hearing none, seeing none, we have Mr. Britt Razigan as SMART's vice chairperson for the term of 1 year, and Mr. John Paul Rea as SMART's chairperson for the term of 1 year. And may we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Any discussion on the nomination? Hearing none, all those who agree, you need roll call on this. All those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Congratulations,
Thanks, Al.
and I know one thing, you never beat my record and being late.
I don't think I can. I don't know about that, Al.
Well,
I live on the far east side, so. Excellent. So, Ms. Martin, I am going to take a little bit of liberties of chair and jump back to number 5, the certification of public notice. If you could please read that for us.
Thank you, Chairman
Thank
Rea. SMART will hold the October 24, 2024 Board of Directors meeting at 2 p.m. at Wayne County Community College, Downriver campus at 2100 Northline Road, Taylor, Michigan, 48180. The meeting will be held in the Ramex room on the first floor, and this meeting is open to the public.
First item is chair, and I've already screwed everything up. So now we're going to invite our friends in the public. Again, sincerely apologize for the delay today, but as always, we're incredibly pleased that you've come to discuss with us matters before the board. So as always, feel free to come on up, and if you could please state your name and place of residence, we'd greatly appreciate that.
Congratulations, sir.
Thanks, Brother Cunningham. How you been?
Good. Well, I've been out in the community, taking a little time off. I was parked over there at 6 and Woodward, where the new fast stop is. And the folks, I didn't have enough room to get all of them in there, sideways, upside down, everything. But everybody says thank you for doing that, for listening. I think I made the suggestion at the sounding board maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and it didn't take much time at all. And the people over there, because they would have to take my taxi cab for $5 to 7 Mile or to Manchester. And so now that's out of the equation. They can just get on the SMART at 6 Mile. May not seem like a lot to you, but people really rely on transit. The folks are really happy, professional looking, regular looking, all demographics, they're happy. And this card I'm gonna give to Ms. Deshalon and Mr. Parker, who was at the sounding board meeting, but it's for all of you guys, and I appreciate it. We need a fast bus on Grand River, fast bus on Van Dyke, and these meetings, a hybrid public comment portion. I know it's hybrid right now, but the public comment portion, I had 3 or 4 people that wanted to come, but they don't have the money to get here. They don't have the time off of work to get here. If public comment was virtual, regular folks can get here, not just the employees. I think that she said Miss Rochella Stewart, she's with Detroit People's Platform Transit Justice Team, but she lives off Grand River and she wants a Grand River fast bus. And so do I. And I thank you. And if anybody wants to look at this card, you can, or I just give it to Ms. Deshalon, and thanking everyone and thanking them. Hotline number 313-444-9114. Again, the number is 313-444-9114. 313-444-9114. That number was made so you can remember it. That's it.
Thanks, Brother Cunningham. Appreciate it.
Deshalon's over here. Are there any other members from the public that would like to speak?
Good afternoon. My name is Joel Batterman. I'm Engagement Manager at Transportation Riders United, TRU, and a resident of Detroit. I have a couple things to bring before the board today. First, TRU is very hopeful that the new contract with Local 1564 will help to improve service. However, we think it's essential that we also track SMART's progress towards improvement. For several years, the Detroit Department of Transportation has maintained a performance dashboard on its website, with bus pullout and on-time performance figures updated on a monthly basis. We would like to request that SMART also post a performance dashboard, so the board and the general public can measure progress towards better service. My second comment pertains to the smarter mobility planning process that's currently underway. As TRU and Detroit Disability Power have expressed in our comments, which I think you all should have received on the table in front of you, we feel that the planning process should incorporate not 2, but 3 scenarios, with the third scenario incorporating both more frequent transit service and increased transit coverage. In brief, we believe that buses should run more places and run more often. It's difficult to rely on public transit when buses run on an hourly basis. And of course, it's also challenging when your point of origin or destination is more than half a mile or even a mile or more from the closest bus stop. A long-term vision for the future of SMART should address both issues. Of course, this is not possible under current funding levels, but we believe that in addition to the two revenue-neutral scenarios that the planning process has presented, SMART needs to put forward a third alternative that illustrates the kinds of improvements that would be possible with more revenue for the system. Here again, DDOT offers a precedent. The DDOT reimagined planning process, completed earlier this year, examined what transit in Detroit could look like with roughly double the amount of funding that it currently receives, allowing for major enhancements in frequency across the system without sacrificing coverage. These are not pie-in-the-sky proposals. These are illustrations of what could be possible if we funded public transit in this region at the same level per capita as peer cities and metropolitan areas, instead of at less than half the US average. In brief, we should look not only at the present, but also at potential futures. The people of the region are ready to make a bigger investment in public transit, as the passage of the Oakland County-wide transit millage demonstrated. First, however, we need to offer them that choice. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it.
Are there any other members from the public that would like to speak? Please remember to state your name and county.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Lucas Lasecki with Transportation Riders United. I live in Farmington Hills, Oakland County. For one, I'd like to extend my congratulations to the newly elected officers, Mr. Rea and Mr. Razigan. It's going to be a fun year, I'm sure. But with that out of the way, there are a couple of issues with board procedures that I would like to address here today. The first, and this is something that I've mentioned many, many times, Cunningham has said, a lot of the rest of his advocates have said, SMART really does need to restore hybrid participation for board of directors meetings. It's very simple to set up. You are already using Zoom to run the live stream. It is not that hard to allow people to Zoom in and speak their mind without having to physically come to the board meeting. That would be very nice for a friend of mine who wanted to attend, but ended up falling ill and was unable to address their concerns with the board. So again, this was policy, this was practice until March 2023, when it was removed with no notice or explanation. If you could at least tell us why this was changed, I'd be a little less frustrated, but this just vanished and it's made it a lot harder for people to address their concerns with this board. It is also a lot harder when written comments, which are emailed to the board by the deadline as offered on the website, are not read into the record before the board as is stated policy. It says something to the effect of the board administrator will read written comments to the board during the meeting, and I've been to every meeting for close to 2 years, and that has only happened a handful of times. I know there are some written comments that have been sent in today. I'd encourage you to follow that policy and read those comments into the record so that those people's voices can be heard. The other issue I'd like to address pertains to last month's board meeting. Had sort of the triple header of I think it was special meeting, then a committee meeting, and then the regular meeting. That second meeting was publicly noticed to occur at 1:45 p.m., but the entire meeting began, conducted all of its business, and concluded, was adjourned before that scheduled start time. And there were some inconsistencies of conducting official business before it was the notice was certified, and then essentially allowing an incorrect motion under Robert's rules to be standing. I think that should be reviewed and make sure that that sort of thing doesn't happen again, because if someone, on the off chance they wanted to attend that specific meeting, showed up at the time it was scheduled to start and didn't see or have any opportunity to participate in it, that is very problematic from a transparency standpoint. I'd encourage you to address those issues in a timely manner. I look forward to seeing resolutions, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Lucas.
Robert Palowski.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Plowski. I'm a transit advocate and regular rider on SMART and DDOT. I'm also the vice chair for our Citizens Advisory Committee through the Regional Transit Authority. I also would like to congratulate Mr. John Paul Rea on his new position as chair and Mr. Brett Reyes again as vice chair. And I was not here last month, but I also like to welcome our new board member, Diana McBroom. Welcome to the board. It'll be a pleasure working with you and all of our wonderful advocates. And I know one of the things here today is service. First off, welcome to Downriver. You're in Taylor, born in my home district, been using transit all my life here, and really built myself and learning more about the community and what the demands need. Today, I want to really focus my comments on some of the service performance. Most of the terminals, I got to give it a good old 6 on service recently. I'm very impressed on how the improvements have been going and how the board has really been very open and honest to listening to most of the comments here and very echoing Brother Cunningham's statements here regarding the 6 Mile Woodward bus stop. It's very needed. The amount of traffic that we've seen on most of our fast routes, our DDOT routes, it's going to make it more easier for accessibility, but most of all, seeing the service enhancements on a lot of the ridership. People are going to get on Smart. They're using Smart. The majority of Detroiters use the fast service, including myself. A lot of suburban folks that live either in Wayne County, Oakland County, Macomb, they use fast service. So it's really much going to be easier to be able to connect between different routes. And all of the board and just watching the transparency come together with the staff, it's been amazing. I'd also like to give a shout out to the staff for all the amazing work in planning and marketing and all the work that they've been doing to address our concerns, especially mine that I bring up at our monthly sounding board to really get the feedback that we need. Especially someone that's talking with bus riders every day, it's very much a concern. They're either saying Smart is not doing good or Smart is doing well. The majority of the responses I've been hearing is Smart is doing well. So really take that pride in. We're starting this year off. I mean, we've had some hiccups. We've had a contract that we've been negotiating, but most of all, the service has been the key, and service is doing well. So thank you to this entire board, the staff that you are doing to be able to grow this system. I know for sure we're going to be starting 2025 off with a strong year, and it's going to be with major service enhancements, new bus stops, and also a brand new smarter mobility plan. So thank you so much. And Dwight, I've been meaning to say this to you for a long time. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Hearing none, seeing none, we close public comments.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Appreciate that. With no further comments from the public, we're going to move on to the chairperson's report. First off, I sincerely apologize that I need to be board chair. I wish there was a better option, but you guys are stuck with me for a year. To my fellow board members, thank you for entrusting me with this responsibility. Also, thank you for the burden of having to follow up the Honorable Al Haddis. Al, thank you for serving with dignity and grace this past year and having a number of difficult conversations with everything from collective bargaining to service, and have done so with a tremendous amount of grace and effectiveness. So I'm going to try not to break this badly. To the members of the public, thank you for the gracious well wishes. I am just a mid-level bureaucrat on the east side that knows one politician good enough to allow me to sit on this board. I will do my best, and most importantly, as I've had the great opportunity to forge a number of relationships with not only the advocacy groups, but a number of service organizations, ensure that we continue to modernize the agency every day. And to the staff in the room, use this as a sounding board to celebrate the incredible work that you do every single day. And I think we all mean that from the bottom of our hearts. And while we have a number of battles and challenges that are before us every single day to ensure that we meet headways and all the other dynamics that we face day in, day out, we're doing great work each day, and that should also be celebrated throughout this journey together. I'm going to stop rambling because the less I talk, the more work we get done, and I will defer the remainder of my time to General Manager Dwight Farrell. Dwight, what's going on in the authority?
Whole lots.
Good.
We're first gonna start out with the Employee Service Award. We recognize employees who have been working at Smart for 25 years or more. And we have 4 of them here. Don't look so excited.
Thank you.
Bush. '94 election, when he was elected, so it's Bush, one, yes.
That's the fun part of the job. Consistent with what we did, last year, Smart's gonna offer free fares on election day. Think that's significant. I tell everybody to vote. Who you gonna vote for? Vote. People did way too much for everybody in this room not to vote. There's another thing that we did, which was quite a wonderful thing for the community. Smart employees decided that they wanted to do something for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So there was a pink out month. And so smart employees raised $8,334 in a week.
Yeah.
Now, 4 days. Now, I was not here. Tiffany made a contribution on my behalf, but I like round numbers. And while I know that we have already sent this money, I am going to give you the difference to make this $9,000. So that way, the next year, maybe we can do 10. And as a breast cancer awareness, breast cancer has impacted me personally. My first wife, my oldest son's mother, died from breast cancer. And it is one of those experiences, most of the time you live long enough where there isn't an experience that your child has gone through that you haven't gone through. My mother was alive when he lost his mom. And so that's very impactful. And so anything that we can do to try to bring this, any cancer related issue, control it, would be great. But the breast cancer awareness is just anyway, so there's a great big check.
So, Mr. Farrell, through the chair, members of the board, my name is Bernard Parker, Vice President of External Affairs. In your honor, what the team did on behalf of all the employees of SMART who gave the four-day giving, and this was to the Shades of Pink, Mr. Chair. This organization helps folks in all 3 counties and some with respect to your living expenses. And so since we know that you like stuff, this is yours.
Oh! Thank you. If I could just cash? Yeah. The thing that we're hopeful, that people recognize the contribution that SMART employees make to the community, not just in the important role that they do in delivering service, but giving back. So the next, we have more good news. Tiffany Gunter was selected for the 2025 Leadership After class. There are 30 people. There are 30 people in that class out of about 1,000 applicants from across the country. So that says a lot about our deputy general manager. And we didn't have to pay anybody off. Next item, I'd like to introduce to you. Come on up, don't act like you don't know. This is Miss Keisha McKinney. She is SMART's Vice President of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. So, first time. Never had one before. So, she comes to us with experience both in the public and the private side in this space. And as I've mentioned to you all before, we want to increase minority participation on our contracts as well as small business and disadvantaged businesses and what have you. So she'll be tasked with helping us develop the policies, particularly for small business and women-owned businesses, veterans, et cetera, et cetera. We have to have a disadvantaged business program in order to continue to get federal funds. So we'll be coming back to you at some point with a request to award a contract for a diversity study so that we will know how many firms are out there in different types of doing that. So I wanted you to meet her. And she is a millennial in the truest sense. And the point that I want to make, and I want to, in terms of our ability to recruit, and one of the things that the industry is a challenge, Keisha and her husband have a goal to go to 40 countries before she turns 40. How many countries have you been to?
We just came back from Africa in September and that made 31.
Wow.
Now, I haven't been through 31 countries and I'm twice her age. The point being is that some of the things that we had to go through in order to be able to settle union contracts or to be able to attract people whose quality of life is much more important than the job.
Yeah.
People, I would never think about quitting a job without having a job to go to. But that generation will.
Yeah.
So, and she will also be helpful along with some other folks in terms of us trying to recruit more people into this space. So thank you. This is Mr. Penny.
Thank you.
Welcome to the family.
Thank you.
In order to increase or will help with the recruitment of bus operators, we have lowered our age to 18. You know, of course, some of you may be old enough to remember when you had to be 21 to vote. And when you had to be 21 to vote, but you could go to Vietnam at 18. So if you can do that, then you can do this. So we're gonna be working on how we recruit in that space. And that's a whole different, that's Generation Z, and they're a whole different animal. So as an employer, we're trying to do things that are attractive to people along with the sixth generation. Well, we don't have to worry about that fifth gen, that's one of the oldest generation, because they're not trying to do this. Look, they're not trying to do that. And I'm a baby boomer, but I'm not trying to do it. But anyway, that's that. So we also had in the Macomb, Oakland, and Wayne County Tri-Summit was held about 2 weeks ago. And SMART was on a panel discussion alongside DDOT and the RTA. In that discussion, I did bring up the fact that public transportation in this region is not sustainable. Public transportation in this state is not sustainable based on its funding model. And we have started the conversation about what other alternatives that are out there. So, because we don't want to get, I don't want to get too far out in front of the board on this, but I'd like for the public to know that we recognize the issues with the funding as it's currently structured, and that it requires something different in order to be able to meet the demands. And just so you will know, to show you in terms of what we realize, if you were to draw a straight line from Philadelphia to Chicago and look at the population of the largest cities, the top 10 cities in population in the United States, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Detroit, and Chicago were all in the top 10. The only one that did not invest in mass transit is this one, the automobile. Eisenhower had the idea of interstates because we had all these automobiles. Europe invested in rail. Two different approaches. So in order to be able to attract the next generation and attract business, we've got to figure out a way to be able to provide mass transit. Our service area, just so you'll understand, I want the public to know that we are aware of these things so they can know that these are the things that we're working towards. The DC system is in the District of Columbia and parts of 2 states. 1,600 square miles, all of Wayne County, all of Oakland County, and all of Macomb County is 2,100 square miles. Between DDOT and SMART, we don't have 700 buses, and the DC system has 1,500. Not to mention 128 rail stations and probably 500 or 600 rail cars. I'm not going to even talk about Chicago. I'm not going to talk about SEPTA or any of these other places. But the point being is that we have a unique opportunity to be able to do something different because the pandemic changed things in such a drastic way. It was already trending where there had to be more service during the middle of the day because we don't have those same kinds of schedules that one used to have. Amazon is the perfect example. If you're supposed to work for Amazon for 4 hours, they don't care what 4 hours you come, as long as you come. That's unusual, to say the least, but they're providing that flexibility so that they can attract employees. As a transit system, those are the things that we have to be able to work to get to. So I've got off my soapbox with that. And then in this board meeting, with the board's blessing, we're going to award a contract for talent management and acquisition. one of the issues that we have as an organization is we are absent certain policies or our policies are out of date. Human beings are the most important asset that we have because they provide service. For those of you who remember Pretty Woman, we don't make anything, we don't build anything. We provide service, and that takes human beings. At some point, they may have autonomous buses, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. And with the transition from diesel to battery or hydrogen or something else, that's gonna be a whole different thing. So again, we're contracting with this group to be able to help us update policy, to help us more effectively recruit, but more importantly, provide training for our employees and management on how we can do these jobs better. So with that, that concludes my TM report for the month.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Appreciate it. Any comments from members of the board? Seeing none, we are going to move on to 11A board briefings, HR hiring update from Ms. Leapart.
And this is a good news story.
Jenna, how are we doing today?
I'm well. Hello, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Tiana Leapart, and I am here to present the new HR hiring update. For the month of September 1st through September 30th, 2024, we hired 15 fixed route operators for the entire month. That brings the total of our operators to 386, and we have 40 open positions, which is very exciting. For our paratransit, we have a total of 133 operators and 9 open positions as of September 30th, 2024. I am here to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, that's fantastic news. We should do that every month. Testament to the approach and obviously a number of the modern practices we've had in human resources. Well done. Any comments from the board? Take a motion, receive and file.
So move.
Supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, we're going to move on to 11B, the safety report on the smart backing up policy. Ms. May.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chair. Yes, sir. We've had, this report is in response to some public comment that we've had. We adopted a policy, and I'll own it, of stopping our vehicles from backing up. This report will talk about that, the benefits of it. But what I will say is that one of the reasons why we did it is we had a almost seven-figure payout that Smart had from somebody backing up without seeing. So Ms. May, who is our Vice President of Safety, again, another new position, is going to go into more detail about it. Excellent.
Thank you, Ms. May, please.
Good afternoon. Here we go. In January 2023, SMART instituted the backing up policy that at its core simply states, no employee may back up a fixed route or paratransit bus without a qualified spotter. In the year prior to the implementation of this policy in 2022, SMART saw 13 fixed route accidents and 13 paratransit accidents that were the direct result of backing up without a spotter. In the year following the implementation of this policy in 2023, that number was reduced to 4 fixed route and 3 paratransit collisions. As of October 1st of this year, we've had only 1 paratransit accident that's been the result of backing up without a spotter, demonstrating that this policy is effectively working to reduce our liability and the impact on the communities that we serve. This diagram on the screen demonstrates a fixed route bus. In the yellow, your field of vision is full. You can see your mirrors and you know everything that's in that area. The area to the blue, to your reverse, it's limited based on your sight through that mirror. Behind that bus, the fixed route bus, you have absolutely no field of vision. However, these restrictions may not be as obvious when you're dealing with a paratransit bus. So in order to demonstrate the restricted view that a paratransit operator would have to contend with, we enlisted the help of several minors between the ages of 5 and 13. In a controlled environment on our lot, we had them stand behind a paratransit bus while our photographers captured these pictures from the driver's perspective. This is from the driver's seat. They've raised their hands in order for you to be able to see them and make themselves visible during this demonstration. But as you can see, they become completely invisible to the operator. For this reason, the industry recognizes that backing up without a spotter is a hazard to employees, passengers, and the public. And more agencies are working toward implementing similar policies. We understand that this policy can create challenges for some of our paratransit passengers. That's why the safety department is continuing to work with the paratransit department to evaluate individual locations and facilities such as Losser Dialysis Center, working with their neighbors to find solutions. And I encourage anyone who's encountered any of those struggles to reach out for additional assistance. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. May. Really appreciate the information. Any comments from members of the board?
I have a question.
Ms. Cote?
How are the spotters chosen?
Qualified spotters are trained
Okay,
and understand what's required of them. Throughout our policy, we walk you through what those hand gestures are and to make sure that that spotter and the driver understand that they should never lose visual contact with one another.
okay, thank you.
More often than not, those are employees of the organization.
Yes.
One of the issues that we have at the dialysis clinics, they don't always have staff available. And they certainly haven't been trained.
Correct.
On how to do that. So as Ms. May said, that, we're trying to find ways to be able to accommodate that. In some instances, is working with the parking lot so that the vehicle can, go onto the parking lot and turn around.
Mhm.
But that's where we are.
Thank you.
Mr. Manico?
No, on most new cars, there's a backup camera. You see along with a screeching noise if there's somebody back there. Are the new buses coming out with that, or is it still kind of a blind dot?
It's still on the buses, it's still currently a blind object. However, the new vans do have that reverse camera. However,
It's still a blind spot.
it's still a blind spot.
Excellent. Any other comments from members of the board? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to receive and file.
So
moved.
Moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
All righty, now we're gonna move on to new business. 12A, a resolution for approval to revise the Smart Board of Directors Policy 9. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Can I have a second?
second,
All righty. Excuse me? I've got 12A for new business. 12A. We're good.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members
Howdy.
of the board. Smart staff recommends that the board adopt a resolution revising Board Policy 9 to require that members of the public wishing to address the board fill out a note card with their name, city and county of residence, contact information, and the subject of their comments. This change will enable Smart staff to more efficiently follow up with members of the public to address their concerns, should any be relayed. If approved, the policy revision will be in effect at the next scheduled board meeting. Members of staff will be on hand to help anyone needing assistance in filling out the note card. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Fahey. Any questions for members of the board?
Move for approval.
I have a comment. I
Please.
don't have a question at the moment, but I understand from the notes that this is intended to facilitate staff contacting members and being helpful. And I'm extremely sensitive to that issue. Also sensitive to the idea of efficient operation of a meeting, making sure that, we don't have a volume of people commenting on the same issue and addressing it multiple times. But I have to say, I'm very concerned about supporting a change to policy that's either a real or perceived barrier to someone coming and participating in public comment. I worked for members of Congress for 20 years, conducted dozens and dozens of town hall meetings. And I just know that some folks are comfortable sharing that information, others less so. And so I'm concerned about the word must in there, that we would be telling someone that they cannot participate if they don't take this step. And I guess that's just, this is a more restrictive policy than like even the Oakland County, board has. Oakland County Board has a similar policy to what you guys do now, which is the name and, your place of residence and that kind of thing. So, I just have real concerns from a perception standpoint and, kind of a prior restraint precluding people from feeling comfortable participating.
I understand if I could respond briefly.
Sure.
The Open Meetings Act differentiates between individuals of the public who are attending the meeting and those wishing to address the board. And we are permitted to have certain rules when someone is particularly addressing the board to get information, really to more efficiently run the meeting. That's opposed to people who are just attending the meeting. So there's a difference when someone's actually addressing the board. We're permitted to require certain information, essentially.
Sure, I understand what you're permitted to require. To me, this is much more just about transparency, openness, discouraging participation in a democratic process. We are a public body paid for by taxpayers. So that's just my general feeling. When you say address the board, you mean participate in the public participation of the agenda. Okay, I just want to make sure that
Yes.
we're
Yep.
not talking apples and oranges here.
That's
Okay.
what I mean. Yep.
Yeah. And I understand you're distinguishing between someone just simply attending the meeting versus addressing, participating in public comment. Okay.
Ms. Raskin.
I think I have similar feelings on this. I would hate to put something in place that discourages someone from speaking during public comment. I suppose if the individual's comments require a response from staff and they're asking for a response from staff, I can see it as appropriate that they leave a name and contact information. But if their response doesn't require follow-up, I'm a little uncomfortable requiring phone numbers and contact information from people.
Yes, and that's really what it's intended to do is when people come, we want to be able to reach back out to them to understand a little bit more.
Yeah.
Provide some solutions.
Mr. Chair,
Dr. Avery.
yes, the comments made early on, I would agree that I don't think it's a matter of whether we can do it or not, whether it's something that's been promulgated by the board, and we're saying that it would certainly think it can be done. But I agree with the optics of it. And it's something maybe that we would want the director to manager to discuss that maybe in a different forum. But certainly think we need to be sensitive to what's been stated here in terms of the perception. We don't want to create the perception that we want to preclude participation. And certainly that could be a perception that we would not want. So I would encourage us to have some discussion, maybe, and bring it back for maybe a different consideration. Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Any other, Mr. Manico?
Chairman,
Please.
as I was reading through this policy, under procedures, there were some words in there like may submit. I thought that provided flexibility for the audience, that they would have an option relative to in terms of addressing the board. I didn't see this as if either or, if you don't fill out a card, but it gave some flexibility, I thought, in the policy, so I had some misgivings as I read this, but as I looked at the detail of the legal counsel, you know, I thought there were words in there that made it flexible enough in relationship to the audience participation.
Thank you, Mr. Manico. Ms. Resnick?
I don't know that that's the case, Mr. Manico. It does say speakers must fill out a note card with their name, city and county of residence and contact information. Am I correct? Yeah.
Correct.
The previous one was only Mays. The new one is a must.
It's right in the middle of the agenda item.
That would be on the policy number 9 draft. Under the draft, it would be item 2, Roman numeral 2, letter B. Speaker must fill out a note card.
I got it. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Would there be an opportunity to have staff relook at this to see if some nuance could be incorporated into those that are requiring follow-up versus not?
No objection from the chair on that matter, just procedurally. We've got a motion and second to discuss this item. I guess through the general manager, would we suspend said agenda item? Would we vote down? What would be the preference on that side? Should we, yes, the chair would even entertain a motion to table said agenda item.
The revisions requested by Mr. Rains again, if you will.
Ms. Rezian, would you be comfortable in making the motion to table? We have got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
And seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We will come back at this next month.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Man, you guys are making it hard for my first board meeting. Jeez, thanks, guys. Man. All righty, Amy's coming back up. We need a resolution for approval of the revised Smart Agency Safety Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff recommends the board adopt the resolution approving the revised Smart Agency Safety Plan. The ASP has been reviewed and unanimously approved by Smart Safety Management System Committee, which is comprised of equal numbers of union representation and management. I can answer any questions you may have.
Excellent. Amy, we will need a motion to approve.
So move.
Been moved? Support. Been supported. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Manico.
This is the first time we're gonna use an accountable executive. We've always looked at the general manager as the buck stops here. This is the first time we've heard from that policy. I don't have any problem with that. I think it's pretty clear on who the accountable executive is in this case. And I just wanted to see if legal counsel had signed off on this or had any discussion relative to that concept.
We're in the safety plan still. So, Mr. Farrell,
I mean, I certainly can sign the safety plan. But it's something that we're required to do.
Under the FTA, yeah.
The FTA requires that we do it. The FTA requires that we do it, and the FTA requires that the head of safety report to the CEO. So, certainly we can make the amendment and I can sign it. It's not a big deal. But it's something that it has to be approved by the board.
Correct,
The policy does.
by December 31st.
so
I didn't have any problem with the concept of what you're trying to do either. This was something new for the board. We always held the general manager as accountable for everything relative to the system.
Well,
And this was first deviation, I think, at least in my mind.
well, certainly I can sign it, but at the end of the day, I'm still responsible for it, whether I sign the document or not. But if it is the pleasure of the board to change it, for me to sign it, I'd be happy to do that. That's not a problem.
I guess my question was the legal counsel, if they felt comfortable with the language that was in. If they did, I didn't have a problem.
So just so we're clear, we're looking at, as currently submitted, the Smart's Chief Safety Officer is the entity approval agency that submits on behalf of the authority. And while past practice has had us go through the general manager, being that we have individuals that are now responsible for each one of these areas is aligned with FTA guidelines. Laura, what do you think on this one?
I personally have not reviewed it. I
Okay.
think if you would feel more comfortable to table it,
Postpone it
postpone
to
it.
December 6th.
Okay.
And just as a FYI, she is the chief safety officer.
Yeah, it's got to hit me on there as the,
I think that, I don't know if that's the issue.
perfect. All right, so what, Mr. Manico, if you would not mind, if we could get a motion to postpone on item B in order for us to clarify the agent of record for this document. And then we will clarify specifically if need be the general manager, deputy general manager, or chief safety officer.
Another question I had under definitions. And I couldn't remember if there was an urbanized definition for the 200,000 plus. But that was different in the safety plan for those rural areas that were.
It is, yeah.
So there is.
It does
Would it
differentiate.
clarify that if we had a definition of urbanized area? I didn't see that in the back of the definition section. And I just wanted clarification to make sure that that was okay.
Okay.
And the difference between.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I may be confusing myself here, but isn't the deputy director identified as the accountable?
The deputy general manager is,
Yes,
and then
currently.
also on, I want to get this right as I'm looking at this, it states on page 3, though, it states that a copy of the Board of Resolution of the agency plan is maintained on file by the chief safety officer. And then in the annual review and update, it does refer to the chief safety officer will coordinate that annual review. So we'll just make sure that we fly spec that to ensure that it aligns with past practices that Mr. Manico had highlighted, and then ensure the appropriate representation from the general manager's office is appropriate on that. So, because I'm going 2 for 2 apparently on this one, the chair would entertain a motion to postpone agenda item 12B until next month to clarify the agent of record.
B and A,
B and A, correct.
for the December 6th board meeting.
Thank
Need
you.
a second motion.
So moved.
Thank you.
Moved. Need support?
Second.
Been supported? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those favors signify by saying aye. Aye. Any approved? We haven't really approved anything, but we're moving forward. We're gonna move on to resolution 12C, and I apologize for the numbering. We removed the nominating committee report, which was number 7 on a previously posted one. So apologize for that confusion on that end. So we are now on 12C, a resolution for authorization toward a contract for the talent management strategy and framework consulting services. Ms. Leapart.
Hello again, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I am Tiana Leapart. I am asking for authorization to award a contract for talent management strategy and framework for Mecca Management Solutions located on Gable Street in Arlington for 2 years with 1 year renewal option at an amount not to exceed $316,000 for 2 years with 1 year renewal option for an amount not to exceed $100,000, totaling $416,500 for 3 years. We are seeking a third-party consulting firm to assist with the implementation of a comprehensive talent management plan. This plan will cover the processes, people goals, strategies, initiatives relating to attracting, selecting, and retaining employees. It will also assist with human resources, policies, and procedures. It will assist with organizational structure, job descriptions, compensation analysis, workforce planning, employment engagement, learning and development, total rewards, performance management, recruiting, onboarding, career path processes, and retention, organizational development, and training and coaching.
Sleeper, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Quite a hefty responsibility there. Any comments from members of the board on this item? Yes, Mr. Manico.
Discussion you had at wording their total rewards. I didn't quite understand what that meant. If you might elaborate on that just a little bit. There
So-
was, job description, compensation, workforce planning. I understand, but I didn't quite understand total rewards.
So with the total rewards program, this will create something that will boost morale with the employees. So like a rewards program and incentives for them to come to work and
So, prior to me coming here, we never did anything like this in terms of actually bringing employees before the board to acknowledge their years of service. Part of what this is about is to develop rewards program that are consistent with the laws of the state of Michigan for rewards and recognition. That's what this is about. This is not about writing somebody a check. So we did it like the bus operator, the year buses that we do in each one of the garages. It's the same thing. And what we're asking these people to do is to come help us develop something that engages and motivates employees. And so that's what the rewards program is.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Dr. Ivory.
so how is this going to be measured? What tangible methodology we're going to use to measure this? So
Well,
the program in place, so
That's part
the
of
metrics.
that's part of the development process is what are those metrics? So I'll go back to the operator of the year bus. We don't stick those names in a hat and let somebody just pull them. We look at attendance, we look at accidents, we look at customer complaints. All of those are quantifiable. So anything that we do is going to be quantifiable as it relates to any kind of rewards. I can tell you based on my experience, if you don't have that and can't justify it, then it just creates a whole bunch of problems. So that's basically what this is about. And we, in essence, didn't have any way to reward employees prior to me coming here. And anybody who works here can tell you that. And so the idea was to come up with something that we could do that was quantifiable and consistent with the laws of the state of Michigan. And so certainly, as you know, once this goes, obviously, we will come back to the board and let the board know what's what. But we're not going to have a policy that allows for anybody to just do something unilaterally. It just doesn't work that way.
So this is for the a 2-year period for 316. Is that what this document somewhere that I could read? Did I overlook it?
yes, that's correct. Not to exceed 316,000 for 2 years with 1 year renewal option. Whether not to exceed enough 100,000.
And Ms. Sleepart, just so I'm clear, sorry, Dr. Ivory, real quick. This also includes the fact that they will be analyzing and revising not only our human resources policies and procedures, the organizational structure, the job descriptions, the
Okay.
compensation analysis also, and a number of
Yes.
other items.
Okay,
Yes.
that sounds better. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah, this isn't just about a recognition program. I
Oh,
think
God,
we're
no.
doing an organizational autopsy on a lot of our HR policies on this one. I appreciate that clarification, Dr. Ivory.
And just for the record, the last time we did a compensation study was shortly before I came in 2021. And
Okay, I'm okay.
so it's time for another one. And so that's part of it.
Okay.
Ms. Sleepart, question that I have is, Mecca Management Solutions, have they worked with other transit agencies or public entities?
Yes,
Excellent,
yes.
excellent. Appreciate that. Righty board, what's your pleasure? Need a motion, please? Been moved,
Support.
supported? Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass my first one, guys. Let's get it after it. Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to 12D, a resolution for the authorization to award a contract for 3 accessible passenger vehicles modified minivan for ADA functional assessments and travel training. Mr. Burton, Mr. Whitehouse, how's it going, gentlemen?
Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, as y'all can see, the game gets back again. The last time we were here,
Oh,
we
God.
presented for the game changer. So the gang is back together.
Yes, we don't have a video today yet.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's the recommendation that the board adopts the attached resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the purchase of 3 accessible passenger vehicles, modified minivans to Holster Transportation. This is a one-time purchase through the State of Michigan State Bus Van Purchasing Program contract, an amount not to exceed $204,000. Now, Mr. Whitehouse will give you a better understanding of the use of the vehicles.
Good afternoon. So the paratransit department employs a travel trainer, an assessment coordinator, and an eligibility coordinator. And each of those positions require a lot of field work. The goal of these vans is to be utilized to get them out in the community, to provide that assistance or that training or that learning on the eligibility factor, what riders can do. Functional assessments, again, is learning about the ability of riders as it relates to disability. And then our travel training program, where we're actually out there teaching riders how to use public transit to be more independent. So these vans will be used to facilitate that community driving, to get out there. They are wheelchair equipped in the event that they do have to transport a wheelchair, or if something happens. They will be branded. They will have cameras on them to ensure safety of our staff in the field. We chose these vans because they provided the ability to go to different areas, dead end streets where we don't back up. It allows more flexibility so those staff members can get to places independently and, as we said, safely.
Smart, every citizen who submits an application for paratransit has got to be certified.
Yeah.
So it's not just your doctor sending a note saying that. And so a functional assessment, which these vehicles are part of, is to determine whether or not you can access a bus.
Yes. And we do that in the community. Sorry.
And if they determine that you can't access a bus, then these vehicles they can take you, they will go to their house or business or whatever it is and be able to use them there, as opposed to them their family having to bring them to a centralized location.
Correct. Yes. Yes. Or to utilize a paratransit vehicle fleet. This allows more. When we go out in communities, our staff is looking at, path of access, right? Is there a sidewalk? Can somebody physically get to a vehicle? So being out in the community allows our staff to have better insight as to what the applicant's actual life and transition will be to get to and from bus stops. Excellent. Any other questions on the vehicle?
Appreciate it. Members of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask a question.
Please.
Is this door to door? Are you able to provide door to door transportation with this?
So with these vehicles are specific for staff to not provide the extra transportation. It is the eligibility of determination of curb to curb or door to door service for applicants itself. So these will only be used by, the paratransit staff itself to be out in the community and to do so with an appropriate vehicle.
And what are the staff using now?
Right now, they're using fleet cars, which could be as small as a Ford Focus or an SUV, but not geared towards a paratransit structure.
Thank you.
So this allows staff not to have to take a paratransit vehicle out of service in order to be able to do it.
Yes.
And there's no point in taking somebody in a Ford Focus when the Ford Focus doesn't have anything to do with what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I'd like to commend Dan and his staff because this is a unique approach to travel training because more often than not, people are forced to, family members are forced to bring their people to a certain location to be able to do this. And so this helps out quite a bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehouse.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Move.
Been moved, supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Excellent. We're going to move on to 12E, a resolution for the authorization toward a contract for driver seatbelt installation for fixed route buses. Mr. Burt.
Yes, it's the recommendation that the board adopts the attached resolution authorizing a contract for drivers' seat belt installation on fixed route buses to Midwest Bus Corporation located in Owasso, Michigan, at the amount not to exceed $111,370. The Smart Maintenance Department has a need for installation services to place the driver seats to exchange the driver seats from a 2-point style seatbelt to a 3-point style harness that is recommended by the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. Any questions?
How, through the chair, how come those seatbelt doesn't come according to the federal?
The federal government didn't require a 3-point for buses. That's why. And so what we did was worked with the staff, the operators in terms of what they wanted. So this belt is done in concert with bus operators. And the other piece is, I think it's yellow.
It's orange.
Orange.
Yep.
So that a supervisor can see that they're on. Part of what, much like we started the procedure about not backing up,
Seatbelt policy.
we have a seatbelt policy that says that you are supposed to wear your seatbelt in a paratransit vehicle or a bus. The operators didn't like it because the seatbelt had more adverse impact on them if they were in an accident without the shoulder harness. So we added the shoulder harness and are requiring them to wear seatbelts. I've seen in videos here, plus in past lives where buses have been involved in an accident, the operator didn't have the seatbelt on and came out of the seat. So all of these are things that we're doing to try to be able to mitigate somebody getting hurt, or in the case if there is an accident, somebody being able to maintain control of the bus. So that's what this is about, and that's how we came about it.
Thanks, Mr. Farrell. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Chair would entertain a motion.
Move.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We did it again. Great job.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Burt. And we got another one. We're going to move on to 12F, a resolution for the authorization to award a contract for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC systems, preventive maintenance, and repair services.
Yes. It's a recommendation that the board adopts an attached resolution authorizing the award of a contract for preventive maintenance and repair heating, ventilations, and air conditioning systems to Johnson Controls. This is a 1-year contract beginning January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 with 2 1-year renewal options. And the amount not to exceed $184,000 for 1 year with 2 1-year renewal options for not to exceed $184,000 for each year, totaling $552,000 for 3 years. Any questions?
Any questions? Chair would entertain a motion.
So move.
Been moved,
Second.
been supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, Ms. Burt, we're coming back again. We're going to G now. Resolution authorization toward a contract for gas and diesel fuel, which is kind of important if you run buses.
Yes.
Currently.
It's a recommendation that the board adopts the attached resolution authorizing award of a contract for gas and diesel fuel to Marathon Flint Company. This is a 2-year contract beginning December 12th, 2024 through December 11th, 2026 with 1 1-year option renewal. An amount not to exceed. My vision is kind of bad, y'all.
I was noticing.
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
glasses.
I got new ones coming.
We're all there. We're all
Yes. Mhm. The amount not to exceed
21 million.
21 million.
We got you.
Apologies.
You're good. Don't worry.
Any questions?
I got a guy now.
Yep. Yeah, that's why we need that HR consultant. Bring in a class.
I'm sorry.
All right. 21 million for gas and diesel. We on board? Chair would entertain a motion.
So
Been moved?
Second.
Supported? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh,
Of course,
Yes.
oh, sorry, Mr. Manico.
I was glad to see we had 11 bids. Fuel industry must have a lot of people out there. They get money. As I understand it, we're hedging on the price for the next 2 or 3 years. We're locking in this price for our fuel.
Yeah, right now, this is contract. We're locking in.
You,
Actually,
first of all, you can't get a locked in price for fuel past a year.
Yeah, that's necessary.
But one of the things that we are going to do is bring in a consultant to help us with fuel hedging. That is we don't have the expertise on staff to do that. Most transit systems don't. So what you'll be seeing in the coming months is asking for us to award a contract with a consultant that will help us with that. And also, we will educate the board and the public on what fuel hedging is. Basically, it guarantees the price. So you don't have to deal with the spikes that come with anything that, whether it be in the Middle East or something that happens in the Gulf. So there are times when we're paying a little more than market, but it's a really good thing when prices spike and we're paying below market. So this is under the current methodology. And again, the idea is to hedge going forward.
So currently, it's priced on basically market price and a bid factor. The bid factor is either a markup or markdown on that market price. So this vendor offered the best markdown on the price of diesel and gasoline.
Perfect.
And that bid factor stays consistent throughout the term of the contract.
So we've got a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Burt, let's bring it on home with H, ratification for authorization of contract amendment number 1 for 1-year extension for architectural and engineering services for select existing projects.
It's the recommendation that the board adopts the attached resolution authorizing the contract amendment for architectural and engineering service to Hubble, Roth and Clark, extending the contract for 1 year from November 1st, 2024 through October 31st, 2025 for select existing projects. Any questions?
I have one question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Are these projects they're currently working on? Is that,
Yes, no new projects will actually be started.
okay, so they're currently on these projects?
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. Chair would entertain a motion. Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Burt. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. All right, we're running on to letter I, a ratification of payment of services rendered and authorization of contract amendment number 1 to increase funding for voiced services. Mr. Evans.
Good afternoon. Staff recommends board approval of the ratification of payment for service and approval of contract amendment number 1 to increase funds for voice services at a cost not to exceed $196,512.02. This will be funded with local dollars. Smart awarded Tahoma Technologies a contract for voice services that will end in December 2025, back in back in 2020. Due to higher than expected usage of our toll-free service, we require the ratification and contract amendment for the remaining terms of the contract. The board approves The board approved this contract back in 2020 to Tehoma Technology. That name needs to be changed to Tehoma Systems. I'm here to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Manico.
I say we have a per minute rate, and we're allowed 100,000 minutes per month. Is that being consistent with what we actually get on the?
Absolutely. There have been months where we've exceeded that 100,000 and our minutes even doubled that amount.
Wow.
But because it doubled beyond that amount, it's whatever's beyond 100,000 minutes has a higher price per minute cost. That's why we're looking at this ratification and why we're asking for the contract amendment.
And if I could add, we did extend the hours of the customer service center during the week and on the weekends as well. So we are seeing more costs coming in as a result. So this was not anticipated.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And how wide the geographic area where this system works?
Our 800 number or our 866 number as it is national, so that someone coming here can call our number to talk to our people if they want to. So we do not normally get many national calls, but we do get calls throughout the state and around the region. So the national ones cost more, but that's beside the point. We don't get many of those.
Perfect. Thank you. Did we have a peek at the NFL draft?
That's a very specific question, but the NFL draft blew our minds. I have to believe, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I know our call volume went through the roof during that time. So.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Been moved,
Second.
been supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in, oh, Mr. Manico.
Just one thing is that APA convention planners will be here next year in the city of Detroit, so you may get a lot of calls in April as they ascend on the city of Detroit.
Everyone loves an ASCP credit. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Manico. With the motion and a second on the table, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Excellent. We're gonna move on to number 13, board member business. Any other business from members of the board this afternoon? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Been moved, been supported. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? See you next month, friends.